Hi, this is Mrs. Parrish, and this is going to be your first science video for this year, and the topic's going to be potential and kinetic energy. Here's a few suggestions whenever you're taking your notes. If you see it, write it down. If you hear it, write it down. If there's a picture or a diagram, you need to draw it. In the case of this video, since you have your video notes that we're giving you ahead of time, you need to just fill it in as you go. But in the future, when you're doing videos and taking your own notes, you need to do those things. You're going to be responsible for all of the information in this video, and these will be your notes for this topic. Alright, here we go. Potential and kinetic energy. All those forms of energy that we've been going over, that chemical, electrical, mechanical, electromagnetic, nuclear, and thermal, all of those have potential and or kinetic energy. Potential energy is energy that's stored and ready to use. For example, in this first picture, the potential energy is at the top. Okay? It hasn't been moving yet. It's very high and it has the potential to drop. Potential energy in the middle. Person at the very top. Okay? He's at the very highest peak, so he has the most potential energy. And over here, the girl that's holding the ball, it's ready to be moved. She has potential energy. Kinetic, on the other hand, is energy that's in motion. It could be an actual moving thing. It could be particles inside something that are moving. And you see these on each one of the pictures as well. Here's your kinetic energy. At the bottom on each one of these where there's moving, that's kinetic energy. And as she drops the ball, it also gains kinetic energy. Alright, there's also different kinds of potential kinetic energy. First we're going to look at is gravitational. And this is probably the one that most people are familiar with because it's associated with gravity. The higher things are, the more potential energy they have, and the less kinetic energy they have. The lower they are, the lower the potential energy, and the higher the kinetic energy. For example, on this first picture here, at the very top, this is where your potential energy is. Alright, and at the bottom, that's where your most kinetic energy is. On the roller coaster, when you're at the very, very top, that's where all of your potential energy is. Once you get to the bottom of the hill, that's where your kinetic energy is. Alright, and over here on the person with the rock, as they go up the hill, they're gaining potential energy, and when he drops the rock, it gains kinetic energy. Okay, and we'll probably do some more practicing with this as we go along, and this one is probably the one that you'll see the most. The next one we're going to look at is elastic. When you stretch something out, or you press something together, that increases that potential energy. When it's released, it converts quickly into kinetic energy. Here's one example, is a rubber band. Whenever you stretch it out, you're increasing the potential energy. Once you let it go, it turns into kinetic energy. Another example is a spring. So over here on this side, where the person's pressing down on the spring, that when you press down on it, that gives you potential energy. When you let it go, the spring releases, and that releases the kinetic energy. This one over here on this side is gravitational. This one is not going to be the elastic. The next type we have is chemical energy, and that's stored in the bonds that hold other atoms together. When you break those bonds apart, then it releases that chemical energy. Some examples of stored chemical energy are batteries, gasoline, foods that we eat, and then you have photosynthesis. On the left side of that reaction is the stored chemical energy. After you add the sunlight to it, you get sugar and oxygen. That releases, during that reaction, you release that chemical energy. Kinetic chemical energy, you have things like explosions, burning, fireworks, all those kinds of things. So these are examples of potential and kinetic chemical energy. The next one we have is electrical energy, and that's stored electric energy, and it's released whenever there's a circuit that's completed. Alright, pretty much anything you plug in is going to have electrical energy. That energy is stored in the wires until it's ready to be used. Any lights that we have, and then our natural form of electricity, of course, is lightning. And the last one I want to talk about today is nuclear energy. Potential nuclear energy is energy that's stored in the nucleus of an atom. When that atom is broken apart, it releases a tremendous amount of energy. All right, we usually think of nuclear power plants when we think of nuclear energy, but it also is what fuels the sun, and that happens because of these two kinds of reactions. You either break the nucleus apart or you smash them together and put two different atoms together. Either way, the release of it, the kinetic part of this, is very, very powerful. All right, you've successfully completed your first video notes. Make sure you know that you can go back and you can pause your video at any time. You can rewind it, you can rewatch it, and watch it at your own pace. Next week you'll be given one for real that you'll be taking notes in your notebook, and then you will be given the video quiz the following day.